Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
my phone. My computer feels like it's normal again. I'm not killing the computer today. We've made some modifications. We've taken away the vertical stream. I hit a button in YouTube. I don't know if they've got me going in the vertical stream on something else. I hit a button to see if it'd work. I don't know if it's worked out. I went ahead and dropped it. I'm trying to condense and make sure there's not a whole bunch of stuff running behind the thing. Thank you for Mama of 9.5. We are getting a black magic encoder. We're getting a black magic encoder. I found one. It's used, okay, but it's warranted, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it. It's what we can afford for the channel. I'm sure it'll give us plenty of usage. We don't need. I mean, that encoder, it should last us a really long time, even used. So, very happy that we're going to be getting that. I'm going to be ordering that on Tuesday, and that will be secured coming into the office. And I've looked at everything now. My configuration is really bad. We need a couple different cords to come in, and I've got to, of course, change my camera to a different type of camera. And I think that once I take that and I get a HDMI cords coming in versus the USB cords, and with the encoder, I think we're going to have a rock star, even on the desktop. That it'll extend the life of not the desktop. It'll extend the life of the laptop. Like even this morning, my laptop's not cooking. Okay, we do not have a cooking. I had to reduce the bit rate. I had to reduce this to 720p versus 1080p. But whatever. If that's what we got to do until we get the encoder here, we can. You know, it keeps me from losing my shit live on on these days, because I got to tell you, it stresses me out when things don't go the way they're supposed to go, especially when I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm doing research and things go wrong. Ah! Okay, so that's kind of how I was yesterday, but we lived through it. And then I looked over, and this bright yellow box was sitting on my desk. That, wow, man, green works pretty good. I look at that. This is yellow, and my yellow is still. Look at that. You can see through my brain. I told you there was nothing upstairs, folks. Nobody believes me. Nobody believes me. Look at that. There are not even rocks rolling around. So I don't even want to hear you guys talking about marbles. I don't even have marbles up there. I'm just saying. So this is spiritual AF. So I figured maybe we need to get a little spiritual AF. I don't know what's going on here with Betty. I don't know. I just know she needed to fix her crazy yesterday. I didn't come back. I'm blowing this popsicle stand. The day didn't come. No, not today, Satan. Not today. Satan bit me right in the old booty yesterday. I was stank face all day. Oh, stank face all day. I sure was. Stank face. Even Delilah didn't want to be around me. She's like, ooh, no way. Where's me a toy? Let me go find a toy. Oh, it's all over here. Oh, Mommy picked it up. Oh, I know it's going to make Mommy happy. Let me take every single one of my toys out and spread them all over the living room and kitchen. I'm sure she's going to just love that. I do. I do. Delilah tells me she loves me every day. Where's my damn ball? Damn. She ain't even in here. She ain't even begging this morning. Where the hell is she? She's like, oh, hell no, not today. Okay, I'm just joking. It's nice to see you guys. So we're going to get spiritual. And then I'll say hi. What's breaking? Tom? You know what's breaking? We took an investigation into my brain, and we realized that I don't even have marbles upstairs. It's just nothing there. Look at that. We just decided to do some investigation, and so we realized that there's just nothing. So there's not. You can go back to bed. There's nothing breaking. I'm just joking. Stick around. I'm just joking. Hit the thumbs up button. That's what we need you to do. That's what we needed you to do. So it says dance like everyone else can go F themselves. Miss Robin. We cut ourselves off from joy far too often because we worry what others will think of us. Take a moment today to look and think, Take a moment today to look around and silently tell everyone to go F themselves, then dance. I want to do another one. Let's just see what the next one says, okay? I think these are gonna. Maybe you literally can't even. Okay, no cuss words so far. Let's just see. Think you can't even? Slow your eye roll, step back, and give it another think. Guess what? Chances are you probably can, with a way better attitude and some love in your heart. Today, if you catch yourself feeling like basic bitching out on someone, sorry, that was Betty yesterday. Thank you. Take a deep breath. I wish I had this card yesterday. And call on all your hood rat angels. All right? Hood rat angels. Hood rat, hoochie muck. Come with me. What? Remember that you and all being are tiny specks of divine, and surprise yourself with how you literally just evened. I don't know what evened means. How you literally just evened. I don't know. Maybe because you can even. So you just evened. I get it now. Okay, I didn't understand what that word meant. But now if it's saying you couldn't even, you can't even, well, now it's saying you can even. That's spiritual AF, just saying. And if you wonder what day it is, happy birthday, sissy. It's nice to see you. You're always for forever and ever, amen. Be older than your little sis. I'm just saying. Happy birthday. And then after that, too glam to give a damn. All right. Thank you, Miss Robin. All that entertainment was from yours truly, Miss Robin. Miss Robin. Give her another round of applause. All right. It's nice to see everyone this beautiful morning. As many of you know, I had we had two major breakdowns of our system this week. So it made me realize that my system that we currently have in our current setup is absolutely, we've outgrown it. Okay, we were able to do what we've been able to do, but we're doing far more stuff. We're presenting far more types of things. We're getting more digital. We're getting better studio quality. And part of that is growing pains. So we had some major growing pains, and I about blew my gasket yesterday in a very unprofessional, bitchy, bleh, I don't even know what you want to call it, okay? I don't care. It had to happen, okay? I needed a release. Everything was just too pent up and Betty, okay? Everything just kind of came to a head. Boom! Right? Pessimistic? Bleh. All that gunk. The day did get better yesterday. Not by much, but, because when you start off the day crappy, it sets the tone for the rest of the day, and it sets the tone for y'all, too. Some of y'all probably had a bad day, too, because Betty had a bad day. I shouldn't have put that on you. But it does show something. It does show that, those that have bad days can rub off on other people. We don't want to be rubbing off on the other people with bad days. Anyways, guys, it's nice to see you. I'm just going to say hi to as many of you as I can possibly say hi to you. Lisa B, always first to say good morning. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you'd like to subscribe. If this is the first time you've met me, I'm Bullhorn Betty. I'm a little crazy. I'm a little wild, but we keep it real and we try to keep it between the ditches. That's it. Eeyore, it's nice to see you. Melanie, good day to you, love bug. I hope you are doing well. Cheyenne, it's nice to see you. Dina, Lisa, I think I said hi to you already. You're the first of the chat. I'm sure I said hi to you. Peggy, YouTuber, it's nice to see you. Adrian, it's nice to see you. Crystal Pistol up in the house. Denise, good morning. Laura, it's nice to see you. Mama Dukes, I hope you're doing well. Nightbot, our trusty Nightbot, is already working around the clock. It's nice to see you guys. Hello, hello, hello. Poppy Love is up in the house. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. Army Vet, good morning. Good morning. Pro tip, yellow snow is not lemon flavored. All right, that's a good tip. That's a good tip. If we have any children in the chat under the age of 12, do not eat the yellow snow, okay? You want to dig it away and get the pretty white snow under there. Okay, that's where you want to go. Yellow snow is not lemon flavored. No, it's not. It's probably got a little pea in it. I'm just going to say, you guys might want to stay away from the yellow snow. I'm just saying. Okay. We got Army Vet. It's nice to see you. Tom Space, what's breaking? Not a whole lot. Not even some eggs? Not today. Actually, yesterday I broke a few eggs. I did break a few eggs yesterday. I had myself a ham and cheese biscuit. I had, I made some brownies, even though I'm on a diet. They were very calorie free, no sugar added, no fat, and the oil that I put in them is this special oil that doesn't stick to the hips. Potentially. Well, I try to say, those are the things that I tell myself to allow me to sleep better at night, I know you guys hear about the things that don't bother my sleeping habits, but, there are a few things that do bother my habit. Sig, it's nice to see you. Big Mac Mike up in the house. Let them 66. It's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning, Deanna. It's nice to see you. Good morning, guys. I hope you're doing well. As you guys can tell, we have a much more refreshed and not so crazy Betty this morning. We have a new Betty. We got crazy, anxious Betty. Anxious. We have an anxious Betty. But anyways, guys, we have a lot going on today in and of itself. As you guys know, I'm Bullhorn Betty, and we cover true crime. But this morning, we're going to be covering a few other things. In today's show, it's going to be kind of heavy, but necessary, because we're covering three major stories that on the surface appear completely unrelated. We have riots and unrest breaking out in Minnesota and across this country. We have what I believe might be, and it's going to be sad for me to say, a disappearance and recovery efforts for Ryan R.J. Davis. There was a few things that I saw yesterday that made me feel a little uncomfortable about the direction of Ryan Davis's case. So we're going to be discussing those. And of course, the brutal murders of Spencer and Monique Tepe in Ohio. But as we move through this broadcast, you're going to see a common thread emerge, one that speaks to institutional failure, public trust, and communities left to pick up pieces when the system breaks down. I keep trying to figure out what is the commonality amongst all these things that we talk about here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. And I don't think that it can be expressed in any other words than the fact that this is everything that we're dealing with right now, from the riots to people being let out on the streets to the homicides, missing children. What does it all come down to? It comes down to this institutional failure. And because of these failures, it's eroding the public trust. And when we have a public trust erosion and you have institutional failures, who's dealing with all that? And it's the communities. It's we, the people, that are having to deal with all this and fight the bureaucracy, fight the institutes, and trying to maintain a peaceful way of life for all of us. I mean, this is, you cannot tell me, I'm so sick of, we're American people. And for me to have to sit here and try to say, oh, this community has tolerance. We're human beings, okay? At the end of the day, who who in the world wants to be aggravated or frustrated by these failures? Nobody does, right? There's not one person on either side of the aisle that wants to have the headache of the bullcrap that we're going on here. You cannot convince me otherwise, okay? You cannot convince me otherwise. There's no way, if I had to look at humanity as a whole, there is no way that normal people put up with this garbage, period. I don't care how you vote. Take the voting out of it. We're talking about human makeup, okay? Normal processes, frustration, anxiety, normal things that human bodies do, okay? So now let's take the political bullcrap out of it and let's slim it down to just talking about some humanity here, all right? You cannot tell me that people want to put up with this crap. I definitely do not want to put up with this crap. There's not one person. Is anybody in my chat? If you were, raise your hand. I mean, be honest. If you don't mind the chaos going all over the world, raise your hand. You know, I mean, own it, right? I own everything I do. So, I mean, don't be embarrassed. If I wanted it, I'd tell you, yeah, I like the chaos, right? The chaos is beneficial, and I'd list all the ways the chaos would be beneficial, right? But I'd own it. So I'm going to ask the people here, even the people out there from both sides of the aisle, you guys, and if you don't want to speak up, you know, that's fine. I understand. You know, some people don't like speaking up and things like that. But maybe if you'd like to privately email me and tell me your perspective, one that's, you know, less intimidating than being here in the public, you can send that to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. But I am curious. I'm really interested because I trust my opinion on my ability to understand the human being, right? The average Joe, right? And I think we've been very successful for the average Joe in the makeup of the average Joe. And no matter who you are or what side of the aisle you're on, if you're getting up every day and going to work, you're not wanting the chaos or the noise in your street while you're trying to sleep, right? Because you've got to go up, and even if you promote, you know, protests and stuff like that, and all these hate channels that were out there and said something to the Bullhorn Betty channel, especially back in you know, Quentin Simon's days when we followed the law. We didn't go out there and try to break into their house or rip her out of her bed and bring her out to the middle of the road or, you know, anything like that. So it was a peaceful protest. And we did our stuff during the day, not at night. Now we do realize there were other people that came in at night after they got off work and you know, put on, but they did it on the side of the road. They weren't breaking into the lady's house. They weren't doing any of this stuff. So we had a lot of outrage over that display, you know, not a selective outrage, right? It came from the hate channels. Everybody else was rooting it on. You guys saw all the support we had. People were, you know, supporting the memorial, which we grew hugely. But at the end of the day, we're all those people condemning the stuff going on out there. Actually, they're promoting it. I saw some people out here that are just, you know, I'm actually surprised, but hey, you know, it's an integrity thing for me. So from this point forward, I know who they are. But at the end of the day, we've got some problems here. And I can't think that any normal person that gets up every day, goes to work, that is just living their life normally. I don't care about the politics of that person or anything. You can't tell me that they want this. There's no normal person that wants this in their community. I can tell you that. Okay? I know we got some haters in here and some trolls in here. So trolls, please express to me how much of this stuff you would put up with. Because if you're saying, oh, you're okay with it, well, sure, send Bullhorn Betty your address. Let's put it to the test. Okay? I'm just saying. You're the one saying you got no problem with this, okay? Let's bring it to your front door, boo-boo, okay? That's what I'm saying. If you're not willing to give Bullhorn Betty your address and you're saying you're okay with this, then you're not okay with this, okay? Because the people that are okay with this would be able to deal with it, okay? I don't know if I would deal with it because this is not protesting, as we all are very, very well aware. So let me just get into this and we'll show some stuff here. Don't forget, guys, if you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe. Also, please, I know some of these conversations are a little bit emotional, and of course, me being controversial and very pointed when I have some of these conversations. For people on the other side of the aisle, it does kind of get them a little emotional. And so for everybody else, just be kind and courteous in chat, okay? You can debate the issues, but please don't attack anybody that has differing viewpoints or opinions when we talk about the political stuff, because we do have all walks of life in our chat. We have people from all over the world that come over here and visit. We have people that are independent. We have people that are Democrats, and we have people that are Republicans. What we really don't have a lot of in our chat, they're pretty much the trolls, are the white liberals, okay? We don't have a whole lot of liberals in our chat because I run liberals off. I say horrible things about liberal people, so they avoid this chat like the freaking plague. But, liberals are not Democrats. I mean, they are registered Democrats, but we're not talking to them, and we're not talking about them, okay? A normal mom and pops are normal mom and pops, okay? And we have a lot of them all over this country that come in all shapes and sizes, religions, backgrounds, and political makeup as well. So we have the Minnesota riots, but it's not just here. We saw a lot of unrest going on all over the major cities, the ones that have the big donors in them, the big donor class, the billionaires that want to shame us all into so they can hide all their money in Swiss bank accounts while they rob the middle class blind in what they want as a socialist environment. But we're not going to go into that conversation today. But Minnesota, once again, is the epicenter of a national unrest. And what began as a federal enforcement operation involving ICE has now escalated into riots, mass protests, and call for nationwide demonstrations. These are not demonstrations. These are, they're calling for violence. That's what everybody's been calling for. The politicians, we've got, let's talk about them. We got Fry or whatever his name is, the mayor of Minneapolis. He's encouraging civil unrest and riots and war. We got Tim Walz is also encouraging those things as well. And I need to remind you guys that they are probably going to be going to prison for a really long time for their involvement in one of the largest financial fraud scandals in American history. So they are actually warming up their National Guards to start a civil war in an effort to hide their financial crimes. And I truly believe that's exactly what we're witnessing here. But at the end of the day, we want everybody that is going to participate one way or another. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life or what to do or what side to stand on, but just be safe out there, right? If you're going to go do that, don't be sucked in with the mob rules. If you're on the political side that I do not agree with and you choose to go out there, I'm just going to caution you to please, please, please be careful. Okay. Sometimes, even though you're good people and you just want to raise your voice for your political cause, you can be sucked in to act. You see something going on, and sometimes it's naturally to act, and you can get yourself injured that way. So just be careful while you're out there. Use common sense and best practices, folks. And if you feel that gnawing in the pit of your stomach that tells you to get the hell out of there, guess what? Get the hell out of there, okay? Just be cool with yourself, okay? That's all I'm going to say. This didn't stay local because Minnesota has become symbolic. George Floyd, Chauvin, consent decree, federal involvement, the powder keg was already there. So we have different authorities here, and I think that this is where a lot of the confusion and issues do, I think, rise to the top. This is where I think people are confused. What are federal authority versus local authority? So federal authority covers, oh, thank you, let them 66, because I'm a love machine. She said, I hope everyone has a great day. Much love to Betty, chat mods, and pray that they find the suspect that pew-pewed and fled the area. Oh, shots, 5 rounds. Oh my gosh, in the area. I hope they do have it, but you know what? This is what Tim Walz and the mayor want. They want unrest. That's why they had ordered their people to stand down. They are by far the most criminal enterprise I've ever publicly seen in American history on American soil, and doing it so flagrantly. I will tell you right now, I'm pushing for federal forces. I'm pushing for federal. I'm pushing for the insurrection to be had, and there's a collective voice of us that are pushing for that. I don't know if it's going to work or happen, but I can tell you we are pushing very, 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 very hard to have President Trump go in there and just shut this down. I'm tired of it. I don't want to see it anymore. And I'm sick and tired of seeing our agents get hurt. I'm sick and tired of seeing the protesters being ripped off and going to jail. I'm sick and tired of the whole thing. So I just want it to stop. And whatever I can do to move that needle forward is what I'm going to do. And so I'm starting to put some hooks into some things and trying my best to see if we can get this stuff wrapped up. But authority covers national issues, defense, currency, foreign policy, with broad supreme powers, while local authorities, cities and counties, handle the day-to-day services like parks, police, roads, under power delegates by the state. Ultimate stemming from the U.S. Constitution reserving powers not given to the federal government to the state and the people. Federal laws apply nationwide, whereas local laws serve specific communities, though federal and state regulations often guide local actions. So federal, they have the U.S. Constitution. It grants specific powers. The scope, their area, their jurisdiction is the entire United States. Okay, federal agents such as ICE agents, U.S. Border Patrol, FBI, those federal agents have broad authority through the Constitution, and their entire jurisdiction is the United States. Now, national defense, managing money, interstate commerce, foreign policy, immigration, right? Immigration is foreign policy. Federal courts, Social Security, Medicare. The structure is legislative Congress, executive is the president, and judicial is the federal courts. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because a lot of people seem not to understand that ICE agents have the authority to act as law enforcement. Therefore, if you're blocking or interfering in their duties, they can detain you, they can arrest you, they can stop you, they can ask you for they are law enforcement. So as soon as she started blocking traffic and intentionally interfering with their work, she committed a felony. And I'm speaking about Renee. She and her wife were committing felonies. Now, being on the sidewalk and just recording or raising their voice or yelling or blowing their whistles or something like that, that's perfectly legal. They have every right to do that on public property. There's nothing that law enforcement can do because they're not interfering. They're observing. They're doing it from public property. And again, the caveat is they're not interfering with the investigation. Even when we're out there, think about it. This is the true crime sector. When we're out there on the scenes, what do you guys see? When that homicide takes place, where are we? We're behind a line, right? Either indivisible line or invisible line, or we actually have, crime scene tape up where law enforcement tell us you cannot cross this line, right? Because they're dealing with an investigation, right? And they need people to step back because they need to make sure that nothing, that these people are safe. For example, I saw a lady that was out there interfering with a police matter, ICE agent matter. She has a 6-year-old child. Now, we just watched 2 different back-to-back across this country, right? We watched in Washington, was it Washington State or whatever state it was, maybe, or Portland. I think it was in Portland. So Oregon. So we watched here in Minnesota have pew-pew, right? She lunged at them with her car. Shots were fired. Bullets were discharged out of a firearm, okay? For whatever reason, bullets were discharged out of a firearm. I want to tell you this, and let me tell you this to these stupid parents that put their children in jeopardy. Let me find out you do that, because one thing I will do, and I know people sit there and say, Betty, you threaten. No, I don't. I tell you what I'm going to do. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. If I ever find out somebody is at one of these protests or following these agents around, that are putting them in their lives in jeopardy with a child in that car, I am going to push as hard as I can to have that child removed from you. I'm going to have, because you just put that child in harm's way of being shot with a bullet. You have no idea what my advocacy for protecting children will do. Okay, I do things very diplomatically. I do things very lawfully, but I'm very, very effective. And one thing I would be doing is applying so much political pressure to law enforcement to act that they would almost lose their job unless they act. So that's the kind of pressure that I like to apply to people whenever I need to move something. So if I see somebody putting a child in danger, I'm going to act. She brought a 6-year-old child to an event like that where officers literally have long arm guns out, and she's arguing about getting behind the line. And they're saying, ma'am, you've got a kid in your car. What are you doing? Like, even law enforcement knew how dangerous. These people think this is a freaking game. They literally think this stuff is a game. This is not a game, folks. This is real life, and there is real death involved in this. And when there's a shootout, guess what? Those bullets go in a straight area, a straight shot. So if your child is in that trajectory, you've got a dead kid. And there's nobody to blame but yourself. And you may want to blame ICE. You may want to blame the suspect. But guess what? Your little 6-year-old child is not going to wake up and come back home with you, no matter who you blame. Morning, Seth. It's nice to see you, love. No matter who you blame. So let's quit putting children in harm's way. If you want to be stupid and be out there, then be stupid and be out there. But I'm going to tell you, if you put a child in harm's way and I find out who you are as a person, you bet your ass you're going to have some hell to pay. And I don't think your husband is going to like it. 'Cause I'm pretty sure your husband's working so you can take time off. Or your girlfriend or whoever it is. Somebody's got to be bringing some money in the house. And I don't think that your significant other would be okay with your child being in foster care for 90 days or 120 days while you guys have to go through training and fight with the courts to get your child back. I don't think anybody would be okay with you doing that. And believe me, that will happen. There will be consequences for parents that put children in harm's way. There is bullets flying out here and you're showing up with children. And guess what? When your child's gone, whose fault really is it? Because you knew the bullets were out there and you put your child right in front of them. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So let me go over here. I think we got this pulled up. Let me adjust it just a little bit so we have it behind my back.
Adams on the ground in Minneapolis. Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Martha. Well, another protest here in Minneapolis, and this one's in front of the federal building here. The reason these protesters came here is because they knew these DHS agents were going to be here. So I just want to set up what's going on right now. You can see this is the federal building there in the background in Minnesota. This is Border Patrol. So you see them in the camo, the green, the yellow. These guys are basically working, Martha, security because ICE doesn't have help when they're on the ground here for local law enforcement. They don't have anybody that's out here to help them. The sheriff doesn't respond, nobody does. And then when you have these protesters like this, and we'll walk a little closer.
I'm going to tell you this. We need to have a federal law that if law enforcement stands down and somebody is injured or killed, that they're ultimately responsible. I think any law enforcement body that stands down and a citizen is killed, they should be charged. The people that gave the stand down order should be charged with homicide because they were complicit in that person's death. There's got to be some laws. We've got to get stuff tougher on these politicians, these rogue politicians, these rogue these rogue people that are causing and wreaking havoc in our country. And that's what they're doing. They are wreaking havoc in our country, and we've got to stop it. I don't know what the answer is on how to stop it, but I definitely believe we need to do something, because this is getting ridiculous, and I have a funny feeling somebody's going to get hurt, and Minnesota wants that. You know, there's no so sad what's going on. Yeah, it is. But Minnesota wants people hurt, because they want to be able to stand up on their shows and say, look what Donald Trump did. No, he didn't do this. They did it. They're just trying to create an environment to manipulate the situation. And I beg that the people, that you guys start counseling your friends and family that this is what they are doing, because it is what they are doing, folks. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about what is happening here. I don't understand how anybody misunderstands what truly is going on here. I'm not misunderstanding it. Hopefully you guys aren't either.
Sir, they need some backup. We saw at least a dozen arrests so far today, and possibly counting. Things escalate and then they kind of dip off. Then they escalate again. They're calling them murderers.
These people are enjoying. They're literally out there enjoying. And what I'm seeing here, in all fairness, you know, the loudness, there's stuff like this. I can tell you, when I'm out at a protest, unless it's like a Donald Trump rally or something like that, it's not enjoyable for me. I don't want to be out in front of Quentin Simon's house. I didn't want to be out there. But I'll be damned if a lady's going to lay her head in her own bed while her child's out in a freaking landfill dead. You know? That's disgusting.
They're saying they shouldn't be here, and that they believe DHS and ICE killed one of their neighbors. They don't believe that she was doing anything wrong. But when you ask the feds,
well, that's because people aren't explaining. You know what? Their ignorance to the law is not a defense. So no matter how you look at it, these people are idiots. People with brain cells know that this lady did something wrong. She chose to lunge that car at an officer. That officer had she deserved exactly what she got. And quite frankly, her wife needs to be arrested. And we are pushing for her wife, Rebecca, to be arrested. And trust me, there is about 1 million people right now that are literally beating a drum to have her arrested. She gave the order to try to hit that officer. She told her to go, drive, baby, drive. She ordered her to drive, and it lost her child her life, her wife her life. And then she was out there saying, this is my fault, I did this to her. She had those utterances right there on the scene, and those were captured by multiple witnesses. So she acknowledged she was the responsible party for why her wife was dead, and she needs to be arrested and be held accountable for that, because her wife should still be here, if not for their illegal conduct and felonious conduct. Her wife would still be here. Renee would be here right now. So she is responsible for a homicide. Not the law enforcement. Somebody died in the commission of a felony that she was a part of. Okay? She's responsible for that death. She's the only person responsible for that death now, because the other person that was responsible is deceased. So she needs to go to jail. Any other person would be in jail right now.
They make it very clear that they say this woman is using her car to block off an active ICE operation. Whether you like these agents or not, whether you like ICE or not, the White House says in its law you can't interfere with these investigations. You can't put your hands on federal agents either, like we've seen here. So that's why those arrests have come. We've seen a few people spit on agents. They were tackled, Martha. And I want
to let you know, spit is battery. Okay? Spit is battery. And if you have any type of disease in that spit, like say HIV or something else, you could potentially be charged with attempted murder. So I'm going to caution people very, very cautiously, because I'm telling you, we're going to start going to the law books. We're going to start making these people be held accountable. We're going to start forcing law enforcement agents to hold people accountable for the crimes that they're committing. You know, there's only going to be so much. This right here is not too awfully bad. I mean, we've seen worse. but we're also seeing an uptick in the violence. Like everybody was just peaceful, just like this. And then all of a sudden we got them beating in, windows and doors to hotel rooms, getting agitated, mob rules. They're all out there smoking whatever they're smoking, drinking whatever they're smoking and drinking and doing whatever. And then all of a sudden their mental illness starts kicking in. It's like, oh, let's go kick in the front door of the of church. Let's go kick in the front door of this, hotel. I'm going to tell you guys right now, you encroach in a hotel where there's ICE agents, you're going to be dead. You are now a burglar breaking into, you are breaking, this is a felony. The flip is wrong with people. And then you guys are going to cry when you get shot in the head? What the hell is wrong with you? Are you that stupid? I'm starting to think these people have a suicide mission and want to die by cop. That's what I truly believe is going on. They're so mentally ill that they want to die by cop.
I want to show you some of the other things we've seen. I don't know if we pulled up the video.
And I'm going to tell you, the people that die by cop, like Renee, at some point, whenever things start going on, if you guys keep acting like this, we're going to, I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do something. This is not going to continue to happen. So that either the federal government needs to step up or, there's going to be a lot of people that are just getting fed up with this. I'm going to tell you that. And I know that I'm already hearing chomping at the bit. There's going to be people that rise up and take care of this. And you're going to have people literally fighting in the streets if this doesn't stop. Okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. I can foresee it. I'm not encouraging it. I don't want it. I'm just saying I can foresee it happening.
I'm just out here looking around at what's happening on the ground, but one of the people tried to stop these agents from leaving, and they feel like they have a lot of power here when they hear the mayor of their city saying ICE should get out, and they don't hear much from the governor except please behave. We saw what happened in 2020. The question is it going to happen again? We'll keep you posted here on the ground, Martha.
Yeah, well, they're encouraging it to happen. They want it to happen. You know why? I think what's happening is they're not moving quick enough. You're going to start finding an escalation of the governor and the mayor. I really do believe, because they're not doing what they need them to do quick enough. So I kind of anticipate this, the rhetoric in Minnesota escalating, the rhetoric from these leftists escalating. And I'm going to tell you, you guys are... Civil unrest is knocking on our door. This right here is not the type of civil unrest that they're encouraging. Okay, they want this to be an all-out war. We've already heard that come from Tim Walz. He's already talked about being at war with our federal government. He is a fraudster that has stole billions of dollars from the taxpayers, and he's using a National Guard to try to protect him from being arrested. That's truly what I think is going to happen. I think there's a lot of people. We've got every single one of these fraudsters connected back to politicians. How does that happen? How does every single one of these fraudsters have a direct connect, reach out and touch a mayor, reach out and touch a governor, reach out and touch a senator? How do they have it like that, where they're so close to all of these politicians and they are literally being thrown in jail for fraud? Being their right-hand men, right? You saw all these people supporting and funneling money to who? Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, the mayor of there. And let's not forget, even their attorney general, Ellison, caught on tape telling them, oh, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. Wow. That's criminal. That's criminal, folks. That's criminal. So we have hold on, let me see here. Fatal shooting, immediate protest, law enforcement response, National Guard preparation. Oh, I forgot to talk about the National Guard. Did we talk about the National Guard? So there is another push as well for the National Guard to obviously be involved. We're looking for an insurrection and martial law. And it looks like we're getting closer and closer to that. And I hope that they remove Tim Walz as part of it. I don't know if they will or have, or if they can. But we will see about that. This didn't stay local because Minnesota has become symbolic. George Floyd, we already went over that. what you're seeing on mainstream depends on entirely on which outlet you're watching, but X and YouTube raw footage tell a different story. So if you notice anything about me and the stuff that I bring here and show you guys online typically comes from X and YouTube specifically. And it's because I like X. X allows us to put highly sensitive videos in their newsfeed. They are truly a First Amendment. Nothing's illegal. I mean, people have moral problems with things. People have emotional problems with seeing too much content. But for somebody like me, I rely on it. It gives me, like, even with Charlie Kirk, as hard as it was to watch that, I was able to see the angle of the bullet. I was able to see the injuries that had happened. I was able to determine fairly quickly that there was going to be zero possibility of survivalship of the wound that he had taken within the neck region. And so it does give me the ability to really dive in and look at some material that once upon a time was only for detectives and investigators, or you'd have to, sue the shit out of these counties and communities to get the stuff that you're entitled to. That's the way it was once upon a time. Over the years, through lawsuits and other things to acquire these documents, it was ultimately determined that the public has a right to know, and that this is the public's documents, so we own them. Okay, our government our government works for us. Okay, so we have to remember that our government works for us. This is our documents. Okay, there's nothing in the United States of America that belongs to our government. Okay, I want to make sure you guys understand that our government doesn't own anything. We, the people, own our government. We, the people, allow our government to purchase things. The things that the government purchases belong to all of us. Okay, any federal building, it belongs to all of us. Okay, any park, nature thing, it belongs to all of us. Okay, so I want to make sure that that's very, very, very clear. We own this land. Okay, me, you, your children, your grandchildren. We own all of this. Okay, this is our money. Do you understand that? This is not our government's money. I want you guys to quit thinking so narrowly. These trillions of dollars, that's our money, okay? That's your money. That's your money. That's not our government's money. That's ours, okay? So we want them to use it properly, and they're not. They're funding war and chaos all over the world to destabilize it, to try to take control. It really is as disgusting and as taboo as it sounds. It truly is about world domination, okay? If you think it's about anything else, you are fooling yourself. It is truly about world domination from where I'm sitting, okay? It is about taking us and oppressing us and making us fund them. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I will never do it. Kill me, throw me in a ditch. I don't care. You're never going to get me to comply. Ever, ever, ever. All right, guys, we have another case, a very sad case. A 12-year-old boy has not been seen for quite some time. He disappeared. It triggered one of the most alarming missing child cases we've seen in quite some time. This is one where his mom and his stepfather are already charged. They're charged with charges that are very, very concerning, and to have a missing boy, because there's conspiracy, there's SA, and there's physical abuse that they've been charged with. They said he was on foot, but there's a piece of me that believes that they may have had other people. I don't know. I don't know if it's because they're not very clear whether it's the stepfather that was abusing him, SA abuse, or if it was because they were allowing him to go stay with other people for profit. And that very well might be the case that we're looking at here. I feel like there's more to the story that is underlying other than what they're saying here. And I don't know to what extent that is. And how can a mom allow her child to undergo such abuse? And I looked at some of the photos, and he's been very unhappy for a very long. You can see the sadness in his eyes. I don't understand how people cannot see a child's sad eyes. How you cannot look at a child and not be able to see that they're hurting. Like, there's been so many children where I look at photos, even Madeline Soto, that you could look at and realize there was something not right. And if somebody would have just looked at the photos, they could have asked some questions. Maybe it would have saved her life. I don't know. But when parents are arrested in a missing child case, everything changes. Charges filed, statement versus evidence, red flags in reporting behavior. But they were on tape. We watched it yesterday. They were on tape, out there searching for their son, and they seemed very normal. And this is what drives me, and I think is so concerning for me, is the fact that these parents, all the time, we see them on these news clips, and they're just nonchalant. They're very happy, upbeat, thankful for all the help that they're getting. And it's just like the manipulativeness, the conning and conniving individual that comes out when hindsight's 20/20 and the evidence comes in, and then they start going to jail, and all these skeletons start coming out of the closet, and then you look and you go back to those interviews, and you're like, how could they keep such a straight face? How could they lie so believably? And they do, much like Chris and Katie, but their behavior is what's the biggest red flag of them all. They're so giddy about thinking they got away with it that it's disgusting. It's oozing out of their pores, and it's showing. But at the end of the day, we don't even know the basic details of what happened here. Who made the 911? Who reported this child missing? How was this child learned to have been missing? When this child was observed on the cameras on foot near the hotel, was anybody observed with him? Is he there with a man or a woman? They're leaving a whole lot of stuff out that could really be beneficial in locating this child, but I don't think they think this child truly is alive at this point. There's something in the pit of my stomach, and there's something that I'm reading that's really starting to, and it's something that the stepdad said before he got arrested, and it's like they know where he is, they're just trying to recover him. It was a statement like that was made by the stepdad, and the word recovered was used, that makes me feel this boy is deceased. And with the parents being in jail and this being an SA type of situation, something had to have happened. And it makes me think that a solicitation is what happened. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, or if it was in-house, but there's just something that's not jiving right on this, and I can't put my finger on it. Does anybody have a possibility of what they think is going on here? Has Ellie even released footage? No. YouTuber, they haven't done anything but give us, it's like a Melody Buzzard case all over again. They're giving us such absolutely nothing to work with, so much so that they don't really want the public's help, in my opinion. When they start doing stuff like this, they kept this case from being out in the public. They withheld this child missing for 5 days before they released it to the public. So, in any type of stranger danger, this child would already be dead by the time law enforcement finally came to the public for help. And then once again, they're giving us a bunch of bullshit to work with that's absolutely going to do nothing to advance this. So they are either already know who they're looking for, and just trying to keep that out of the public, or they know where this child is. I don't know. All I know is when law enforcement plays games like this, they lose the attention of the audience. And when they lose the attention of the audience, well, nobody's going to get any leads going out or coming in, because the case is going to die down, and this case will ultimately go cold if they can't get some evidence in. Now, we don't know what was derived in the first 48, but if we didn't hear about this child for 5 days, It makes me believe that the first 48, they didn't do shit. You know? Because I feel like if they did something in the first 48 hours, they would have known that this child was in distress and walking around alone a long time ago, and would have went to the public a lot longer than almost a week later. You know, where the hell are we supposed to look for a child a week later that's been out in the elements, in the cold elements? It's very, very frustrating and distasteful for me, you know, just personally. Now, it absolutely means jack squat, right? My opinion means, in the grand scheme of things, my opinion means jack squat.
That's right. OSBI is now offering $5,000 to...
Now comes the reward. When we start having law enforcement providing rewards, I really do believe this child's deceased. I really do. I'm starting, because, you know, the reason why, here's a few reasons why I'm starting to believe that this child is deceased and might be closer than people think, is because I just don't believe that in Oklahoma a child could be walking around an area alone at the times of hours that they're saying he's walking around, without one normal adult finding him and saying, "Are you lost, son? Do you need some help? Can I call somebody for you?" You know, like being an adult, like children, we shouldn't have to worry if our child walks downtown that our child's never going to be seen again, you know? I just don't believe, do I believe there are creeps here? Yes, I do. Do I believe that that with an opportunity, somebody is just going to snatch a child? This day and age, it's more probable than not, but no. I just don't think a child around a hotel is just going to be snatched up. Okay? Here's why. Here's why. And it comes down to my experience. Now, granted, I'm in different areas. You know, we have different people. There are a few factors here. One, he disappeared once before and was found immediately. Two, he was in a very specific area for over 24 hours. We're hearing that he was seen around 11:30 p.m. on January 2nd. And we also heard that he was observed on surveillance footage in the same area around 1 or 1:30 a.m. on the 3rd, the next day, over 24 hours, 25, 26 hours later. So was he with somebody? And again, they're omitting that. But because the parents had found him so quickly before, did they find him so quickly now and realize that it's now gotten to a dangerous point? They're going to, you know, end up going to jail because he's now speaking. And they, you know, the husband took care of the problem, you know, kind of like we thought Chris Proudfoot did. Okay. Is that a possibility? I think that's a good possibility. Is there a possibility of an opportunistic stranger danger, seeing a child struggling and decides to help him and ends up kidnapping him? Is that a real possibility? Yes, that is a real possibility. But seeing how they observed this boy on camera near that hotel for 24 hours, to me, it seems like that hotel is a little bit significant for some reason. Either he knows somebody at the hotel that he trusted, and somebody's hiding him from the family because of the knowing what he's going through at home. That's a good possibility. But now that we're having law enforcement coming, you know, throwing the parents in jail, that's telling us that's a big issue. And they're definitely providing proof that they're not going to let him go back to his parents if he is on foot and he has ran away. But he's been gone for so many days. Is it possible that he did find a trucker that befriended him, that took them out of state. And why would anybody allow a kid this day and age in their car? They got to know that it could be misconstrued as a felony, or somebody may misconstrue it as hurting somebody. She's old, like mom's age. Mom's employees' wives have always helped. One rented from us and literally lives in a home a mile behind. I don't believe in coincidences. You like breaking other type of news? See what it says here. I'm just trying to read some of the comments here. You're talking about cute kids. Oh, you know what? Some babies, I don't know how they turn out to look so good when they start growing up. There have been some babies. Oh my goodness, it was a face only a mom could love, and I say that lovingly. I say that lovingly because I know some of those ugly kids. It's ugly babies, and they turned out to be pretty cute kids. But the wrinkly face, I was an ugly kid. I was an ugly baby. I was an ugly baby. I had all these little red spots all over me. I had this thick black hair that stood straight up. I had an afro all the time. My mom was so embarrassed of my hair. She had no choice but to put a bonnet on. I was one of those babies that had a face only a mama could love. So I'm allowed to say it. I'm allowed to say it. I was an ugly baby. But I made a cute kid. I was only ugly for a little while. I was only ugly for a little. Oh, dear goodness. But I don't. Ryan Davis, he looks like such a beautiful, happy kid. Well, he wasn't happy. I'll tell you that. He was not happy. What he was going through, no kid should have. I'll show you. It's this photo right here.
Well, I have.
Oh, hold on. Let me find it. If I can find the photo. They have it on the covers. There it is. This photo right here. Look at those eyes. Are you telling me those are happy eyes? Like, I feel his pain in his eyes. He does not look happy. He looks like he was just crying. This poor boy. Aw, thank you. Aw, that's sweet. That's sweet. But, it's just like his eyes. When I saw this picture, the minute I saw this picture, I'm like, man, his eyes are sad. His eyes are sad. His eyes are sad. And it just, I don't know, it upsets me a little bit that he is...
That's right, OSBI is now...
He was abused like he was. And not only that, 12 years old, I don't think a lot of people knew about the abuse. And I think we need to be encouraging our children. I know it's hard. We need to make sure we encourage our children in front of other people's children. If anything bad, like when they have sleepovers and stuff, just make a caveat. If anybody ever gets, hurts you in any way, I just want you guys to know you can always trust me, right? You want to make sure you open the door even to people, because if you're not abusing your children, then you don't have anything to worry about. But what happens if your child's friend is dealing with this at home? You need to make sure that you always let everybody know all the time that you're there if they're ever being hurt by anyone. If anything ever goes on, they can always rely and trust in you. And make sure you constantly say that to every time your friends have friends over and they're having a good time. Always remind them that you're there for them, all of them, if there's ever anything that they need to talk to you about. Because in a situation like this, maybe if Ryan had a friend, but that these kids are isolated. In order for these people to do this to the children, they isolate them. They don't, the people don't really have a lot of friends. If they do have friends, their friends are not allowed over to their house or anything like that. But every opportunity you get, just let other children know that you are there if they ever need anything, if they ever get hurt or anything like that, they can always trust you. Just make sure you tell that to everybody. Make sure your children know to tell that to their friends. We want to make sure, and if you've got age, middle school age. This was a middle school kid. This was a 12-year-old boy. Okay, so if you have children in this age group, this is a great opportunity to speak to your children and let them know what to look for. And if they have a friend that is experiencing abuse, please tell you. Let you be able to help them. Never keep that a secret, because it could lose that child's life, and we want to protect. And maybe sometimes the only way we can protect people is through our children and educating our children, as tough as that conversation needs to be. But we want to make sure all of our children, especially 12-year-olds, 11, 12, 13-year-olds, thrive. And this child was being abused and suffering in silence and probably didn't know what to do. I recall Maddie, sad stuff. Yeah, Doris, exactly. It's not good. It's not good. So very frustrating, but let's keep going.
Now offering $5,000 to anyone who can confirm RJ's location, leading to his safe return. Right now, as we speak, community volunteers are out searching for this missing 12-year-old, hoping to bring him home. RJ! By foot, by four-wheeler, or by drone. Volunteers spent Friday scouring nearby Chickasha and Cement for missing 12-year-old Ryan Davis, known as RJ. RJ vanished outside a hotel in Chickasha 7 days ago and hasn't been seen since.
See, outside a hotel, 7 days. I don't like this. What the hell is a 12-year-old boy doing at a hotel? I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. I feel like this was ST. I really do. I don't believe this is SA. I believe this is ST. I don't know. I'd like more information. Was it George, or is it somebody else we're worried about with this boy?
Days after RJ disappeared, his mom and stepdad were arrested for child abuse and child sex abuse.
Well, I have two 12-year-olds myself, and what if it were my son, you know?
We covered about 650 acres this morning, roughly, across 3 pilots, 3 different drones.
Drones took to the sky, flying above a property that belongs to RJ's family, along with a nearby lake, while dozens of other volunteers searched on the ground, looking for any sign of RJ.
We're centralizing where he was last seen, where he was known, and then sort of those in-between places. We're just looking, I think, for any breadcrumb, but we want to bring RJ home.
Now, on the missing persons flyer, volunteers wrote a message specifically for RJ.
So I see lakes behind her. Are they draining lakes? Are they looking in lakes? I mean, at this point, this child hasn't been seen or heard from. We heard from law enforcement themselves yesterday, basically stating that, they've had sightings. They've followed through with all those sightings. Unfortunately, it was not RJ. So it brings me back to wanting to know, if none of those were RJ, when are we moving this from a missing person or a runaway child into a criminal investigation and start searching waterways and start draining ponds and start looking at retention ponds and start looking for any disturbance in the ground and grass? And we're in a rural area. They had again, we're ignorant to the 911 facts. Who called this child in missing? Was it the parents or was it the school? What was said? How was he found to be missing? Did they go into his room and find him missing? Did he not come home when he was supposed to come home? Like the very minor details to just help us contextualize how everything is rolling. Are the basic facts of the case are not being told. And I'm not, again, I know why they are causing all of this confusion. Somebody in the back, I've seen this going on, and they're trying to perfect their skills to work around social media, and it's at the detriment of the victim. I will tell you, whoever is telling law enforcement to work this way, you guys are very foolish. I don't know. It seems very disheartening that your disdain for social media would have you put other children's and other cases in jeopardy. And that is what I truly feel is going on here. I saw it happen in Melody Buzzard. I'm seeing it happen in this case. I'm starting to see a pattern here with our law enforcement officers. And I'm saying, Please don't fall victim to this disdain for social media and media. You're doing yourself a disfavor. You're doing yourself a disadvantage. And the only people that are going to be suffering because of this way of policing is the victims. I can promise you that. Somebody that could have been brought home is going to definitely lose their life because of this practice right here. I will tell you that. I will tell you that. I can foresee it right now. 5 days to find out a 12-year-old's missing. 5 days. 5 days in today's society. It's almost as if they wanted this child not to come home. For them to take 5 days to get this to social media. That's sad. That's sad. I don't know what to say. It's just sad. I pray to God that law enforcement, I'm not going to condemn you, but I pray to God that you guys lose this practice very quickly, because somebody, when time matters, this boy's time mattered. Maybe we could have brought him home, but now because we didn't find out about this case for 5 blessed days, disappointing, just truly disappointing. Truly.
In case he sees it, telling him that his parents have been arrested. He does not have to return back to that house, and they just want him home.
So if anybody's out there that sees this child walking around, one, please help him. This is a wake-up call to my audience, and I hope that somebody out there clips this and, again, uses it for something else and spreads the message. But we all have to be responsible for the children in our communities. If you see something, please say something. Also, if you see a child, somebody that doesn't look like they should be out at a ridiculous time in the morning, offer them some help. Buy them a cup of coffee, a sandwich, befriend them as you call 911. They don't need to know that you are making the call. Just keep them safe. I don't like the details of this case. A young boy walking around an area at night. Somebody had to have seen him walking around, and nobody offered help. And you're gonna try to convince me that, one, nobody offered him help, and that he just happens to run into somebody that's going to kidnap him and unalive him, or take him somewhere. This seems something different. This seems something a lot different. There's something we're not hearing here. Was there somebody else arrested along with the parents that we're unaware of? We need to get into the system. If anybody's out there in Oklahoma, one of the best things you guys can do is provide me, if you can get a hold of it, an arrest record, an arrest from everybody that's been arrested in that community from the time this child disappeared to the time his parents were arrested and after. I would say up until today. I want to go through all the arrests. I'm looking for similar arrest charges as his parents, because there might be a third party that's arrested. Nothing good happens that hour outside of a hotel. Exactly. Why was he at a hotel? Of all places to go, why a hotel? It's very concerning with the charges his mother has and his stepfather has, and his last location being at a hotel. I'm sorry. It turns my stomach hearing these details. I feel like his parents put him in very much harm's way with someone, and someone ended up hurting him really bad. But I don't know if that's the case, because we have nothing with this case. We don't know. I mean, we're still trying to find out who the hell called 911. How did this child get reported missing? And how do we know well, I guess we know he wasn't reported missing, or he didn't disappear any sooner, because they did see him law enforcement has confirmed that it was him, at least at 11:30 on the 2nd. And the Aware Foundation changed it, which works in conjunction with National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And they're saying that he was observed on footage at around 1:30 in the morning on the 3rd, some 26 hours after law enforcement. So I know the Aware Foundation would not put that information out unless it was confirmed. So I know somewhere along the way, him being observed alive, well, the only time we have him being observed on foot, specifically, let me read hold on a second. Let me put this up here. We got the, missing flyer here. Let's read what it says here. It says, the Chickasaw Police Department is attempting to locate 12-year-old Ryan R.J. Davis. Ryan was last seen about 1 a.m. in the early morning hours of Saturday, January 3rd, 2026 at Quality Inn. He was wearing a red flannel shirt and work boots and an orange beanie. See, the one, I know at 11:30 they said he was on foot, but they didn't say he was on foot on the 3rd, because I'm reading this statement here. I'm just trying to decide, because are we dealing with, was he observed alive or deceased? Was he walking or not walking? Was somebody with him or not with him? And where would he have been if he really was observed going there at 11:30 on the 2nd? Where did he go? Because they said he was near the hotel. Was he staying at the hotel with someone? Or was he staying somewhere and he was just observed? Is his real dad still alive? I think so. Let's see what the system has to say. Hold on here. Okay. So RJ's father's real name is Robbie Lee Frederick Jr., and he's identified as RJ's biological father. He attended a community vigil in Chickasaw and publicly stated that he has not seen his son in approximately 8 years. He has not had a regular contact with him. During that vigil, he made it clear that he wants to find his son and is going to find you no matter what way I gotta go to do it. Wow. So Robbie Lee Frederick Jr., so he was an absent dad. This is, I gotta scream out here, I know that there's a lot of people that made a lot of decisions, a lot of different decisions in their younger years. They may be a little older now. They may be a lot different than they once were. If you have children that you have not connected with in a while, that's not fair. It's not fair to your child. Despite whatever happened, I hope that you at least allow them to know that the door is open if they ever want to have contact. And if you tell that child you're going to show up. You have no idea how it is and the psychological problems that these children go through with parents constantly saying they'll be there and never show up, or never having their real father, knowing or having a connection with their real father or real mother. It's just not fair to children. It's just not. So everybody makes mistakes in life. And if you've made mistakes and maybe made some mistakes that you're not so proud of, today's a great day to right wrongs, It's never easy, and you might have to go through a lot of pain to right that wrong, but the end result, I think, would be welcoming. So if you have, been thinking about maybe a little bit of your past, and maybe you do have some baggage from the past that needs to be resolved, today's a great day to do it. Today's a great day to do it. I never want to beat up any parent that doesn't have a good relationship with their child or has done terrible things, as far as leaving them, maybe even past abuse at a younger age. If things have changed for you and you're no longer the person or no longer have the demons that you once did, today's a great day to start a new life, and bringing some of those relationships back into the fold. And maybe those relationships could be your own children if you don't have a relationship with one. But just remember, that child didn't ask to be brought into this world. This child was forced into this world. And so when you hurt that person, it's up to you to fix that wrong. And sometimes it takes a long time. Your relationship didn't get soiled overnight, and it's not going to be fixed overnight. But if you can just put one step forward, one foot in front of the other, you will get there. At this stage of the ongoing investigation, there's still no indication that the biological father currently has custody, contact, or a role in RJ's life. As a matter of fact, he's saying he's never seen him in 8 years. This is a 12-year-old boy. He hasn't been in his son's life since he was 4 years old. It's a shame. Now he's got to go, most likely for the rest of his life, never really having a relationship and having the shoulda, woulda, couldas for the rest of his life. That's going to now be a psychological weight on his dad. And it's all because of poor decision making. Poor decision making. And not only that, if he had a good relationship with his dad, maybe he could have told his dad some of the things that were going on with him, But even then, there's no guarantee, right? Because let's face it, Seth had a great relationship with his son, and his son still was unable to tell him about what was going on inside his home. Seth found out everything after the fact, after his son disappeared, much like probably this guy. But the difference between this guy is this guy wasn't even involved. He tapped out. I feel some type of way about that, but it's still, this also proves to you just because a parent has been absent doesn't mean they lose the love for their child, because it sounds like he's the only one fighting for his son right now. You see what I'm saying? So just take that into consideration as well. The authorities have not publicly stated anything further about his involvement beyond what he said himself at the vigil. And I don't think he's involved. He hasn't been around this child for 8 years. If he had any culpability, I'm pretty sure that they would have had him arrested, just like the mom and stepdad. But this sounds like the mom and stepdad, which most of the time it's the people that are the closest. We know that. And that's why we were looking at Katie and Christopher Proudfoot. If you'd like, if you guys would like, I can compile like a specific X post that is linked to the father's statements if it's something that you guys are interested in. But I didn't pull those right now for the purposes of this. Hello, Miss Delilah. Hello. Why is this thing giving me a problem? And then we have one more. Oops, sorry. Delilah, stop. Delilah hates it. She just hates it. She hates it. She can't stand it. Mommy, what are you doing? I want to be in your lap. Mommy, mommy, mommy. I love her. I love her. She's a sweetie. She's a sweetie. Okay, let me get back here to Spencer and Monique. Monique's case. We're going to be moving over to them here shortly. Delilah! Hold on, she's insist. Delilah, no, you quit begging. Go lay down. Go. I'll get you up here in just a second. It's not even time yet. It's not even time yet. Oh, there's some comments here I didn't even go through related to this missing minor. All statements are based on law enforcement releases and public reporting. He's 12 years old, a child who should be in school, safe at home, and protected by adults entrusted with his care. Instead, he vanished. And when details began to surface, they raised serious and troubling questions about the mom and the stepdad, which are behind bars right now. When the parents are arrested in the missing child case, we do not rush to judgment, but we do not ignore the fact. The delays, the contradictions, the criminal charges, these are significant criminal charges. As a conservative, everything, Mama, if your screen is black, just refresh, because everything is, believe it or not, has been firing off the charts today. We haven't had any problems since I ditched the vertical stream. When parents are arrested in a missing child's case, again, we do not rush and just point the finger at them and say, you're responsible. But in this case, the charges that they have uncovered and charged these parents with are pretty significant. As conservatives, we believe in due process, but we also believe in parental responsibility. As Christians, we believe children are not disposable. So we stood here. What stood out here wasn't government efficiency. It was the community, neighbors searching, vigils held, strangers praying. This civil society stepping in where a system failed. Again, this is another place where you cannot tell me that this child, that there was not the Department of Children and Family Services already involved in this family. And if they were not, why? Why? Where is the school? Does nobody ask any questions anymore? Like, what the hell is going on across this country with our young youth? How do we have children being injured by their parents and nobody knowing or stepping in? Child welfare systems are reactive. They're no longer protective. They're reactive. That means the crime has to happen, the child has to die, the child has to be hurt before anything can be done. It has never been there to protect the children. It's only been there to react if a child is hurt. That is the dysfunction of our system. And every time we excuse dysfunction as complex, another child pays the price, which leads us to this case. And you know what? There's the problem. There's a problem there. We no matter what we do here to help, there's always going to be abuse of the system. You know, we wanted homeschooling for our children because our government was indoctrinating our children. Now you got bad actors putting a child in homeschooling so they can essay the child and harm the child. You know? And there has to be oversight. There has to be home checks. When you have a homeschooling, there has to be, because think about it, our schools are checked, okay? So if you choose to, I think there needs to be a complete home process. When you choose to homeschool your child, you need to have a designated room with a chalkboard, a computer. It has to be set up like a school and a environment for teaching and learning, okay, if somebody's homeschooled. I think that needs to be a requirement, and that needs to be, and people are like, Betty, we can't afford to do that. There's always ways. You can put partitions up, you can buy things, and as much money as we're giving away to the Somali government and, you know, the terrorists across the country, certainly we can take a portion of those laundered funds and put them toward, you know, grants for homes that need to be brought up to snuff for their children. We also need to have the ability to have check-ins periodically. Every 60, 90 or something days, a child has got to be seen by a teacher or seen face-to-face. Something has to happen where there is some type of requirements. Now, if you pass certain qualifications, it should reduce those. You know, if you have this insurance, if you have, say, cameras in this room that can be monitored or something like that, maybe you'll go further down on the threshold of being monitored or something like that. There's got to be some type of, you know, thinking out of the box, some good common sense stuff that can be put in place for the overwhelming amount of people that are now being homeschooled. And I'm glad to hear homeschooling. I love to know that parents are taking a responsibility in their child's education and having a very hands-on experience and producing more round, well-behaved children than that of what our indoctrination camps called the public school system has been doing to our children. So I'm going to always support homeschooling, but I am going to now say that we've had several children that have succumbed to injuries from homeschooling, that there has to be additional layers of red tape that's going to be involved in this. And it's something that has to happen. Because if children are losing their life being in homeschooling because some parents are terrible, maybe we can start identifying those terrible parents earlier on. We're never going to be able to earlier on identify parents such as Katie and Chris that live in the nice house, but we can definitely identify that a lot of the abuse comes from lower impoverished communities and households. And therefore, when we see a household that is littered with garbage and doesn't seem to have clean clothes or clean dishes in their house, well, I can probably say that they're probably not the best parents to be doing homeschooling. If they don't even have the wherewithal to clean up their own dishes or mow their own yard, then they probably don't have the wherewithal to teach their children how to educate their children. And there needs to be some corrective measures put in place on situations like that. It's about education. At the end of the day, we're required to educate our children. If they're not being educated in a homeschool, we should have some abilities to pull them out of homeschool and force them back into brick and mortar schools. We need to have some type of regulations inciting abuse or neglectful environments. So they need to have a clean place to work and educate. And that has to be a requirement. These parents who have no nurturing skills, their kids are overwhelming a commodity to the parents. Yeah. Well, most of these parents usually keep the child just for the benefit of the child, right? They don't want the child, but because they're getting, $2,500 from the state, they're putting up with the child, but they're not giving the child, they're taking the money that should be going to feeding that child, clothing that child, and stuff like that. So, a lot of these kids that are at disadvantaged, I've noticed that their parents are on some type of welfare benefit with these kids, and they're receiving some type of financial gain from these kids. And I really believe that's why they're in the home. If they don't really care for the children, but the money's too good for them right now to kick the child out, and they end up losing their stuff and hurting the kid. The kid goes to the grave, and the mom or dad goes to jail. And it's the same cycle over and over again. If we quit prophetizing our children in disadvantaged homes, maybe some of this stuff would stop. But I mean, I don't know what the right answer is to all of this. All I know is that what we're doing is not working when it comes to our children. And this whole reactive instead of protective is really starting to bother me as a human being, because we need to be protecting our people, and I don't think we are. I think we have a lot of work to do, and nobody's wanting to talk about it, or nobody's wanting to do the work that's necessary that needs to be done. The case that was awful, the whole family abused them, and a few still going through court. Well, we know that there was the one down in Bibbs, Alabama. That was really bad. Bibbs, Alabama, where they were... it was a whole racket, it was disgusting. It was putrid what children went through. And I hope the children get their therapy. All right, guys, so now we're going to move on. Lastly, just kind of touch on Spencer and Monique Tepe. This segment discusses a homicide investigation. There are no named suspects. All of my commentary is protected under the First Amendment. It is opinions. It doesn't have anything to do with facts. Some of the information is factual. As you guys know, I'm a very highly opinionated person on what I think may or may not be happening in these cases. These cases are just suggestions, opinions, or experiences, and my hypothesis, conclusion. But either way, they are theory-based, okay? I don't have any evidence that one person or another may have killed these two individuals. All we have is some circumstances that are a little boom here, boom here, boom here. And we believe they make sense, or they may apply from one person or, one incident to another, but they may not. For example, months prior to, they had somebody over at their house that ended up calling law enforcement because her and her man had gotten into a disagreement. There was no pushing or violence or physical contact or anything. It was just, obviously, they may have gotten into a shouting match. It sounds like there was alcohol involved. Somebody picked up the phone, called 911. They ended up needing to meet the person, make sure everything was okay. No, nothing happened. Everything seemed to be fine. Does that have anything to do with it? I don't know. But several months ago, there was a coworker that worked with Spencer and his practice. So between this incident with the call and this homicide, there was an employee that ended up leaving the dental practice and kind of started doing her own thing at her home, and on the face of it, it doesn't seem anything suspicious, but I can't remember the name. I'll have to find the post again. And it really did show her husband, and her husband, in all fairness, the height, weight, body build of the person walking down the alley that, that I'm about to show you here in just a few moments. I could see where it could be him. Now, I'm not, this is conspiracy theory. And even if I do find the name, I'm not sure if I'm going to use their names on here because, again, it's just a theory that could hold water, but it sounds like she isolated herself by leaving the practice and working from home instead of trying to go back in. It sounds like there was something. She was a really good and getting paid a lot of money to do dental work and stuff like that. I think she was a dental hygienist or something to that effect. And for her to go to school for that and then to quit her job and to work from home, it seems like something else may have been brouhaha in there because it sounds this was abruptly. So it makes me wonder who was really at their house, who really called law enforcement that night. Is it connected with the woman that left the practice at work all of the sudden and started working for herself? And again, maybe she finally left her husband and he thought that she was back over at their house and went over there to beat on their door just a day or two before and they didn't go to the door, or maybe they did, but we did hear that there was somebody at a door where they were trying to quietly speak to them and nobody could hear, but there was one where somebody was beating on their door so bad somebody called law enforcement. And from my understanding, that happened like a day or two before their murder. Who was that? The Crockers. So I think they got it. The brother-in-law says that it's not MO. And as far as the brother-in-law, I can tell you that I'm very confident that law enforcement believes that was associated with them, whether the brother-in-law does or does not. The brother-in-law, by far, I've looked into him, has no earthly idea what he's talking about when it comes to criminology, crime, behavior of criminals, or anything like that. So at the end of the day, this guy that was out there, from my understanding, there was like literally nobody in the alley. The guys in the alley before the murders and walking away after the murders, from sources that I've heard. I know that's not been released yet, but that's what I'm hearing. He was there in the window walking in, and he was there in the window walking out. So, and he was the only one, from my understanding, that was observed in that window. But I could be wrong about that. And again, I'm only as accurate as those resources or in those sources. But I will tell you, don't take anything that I say from a source as the gospel, because even with people that are close to the case or boots on the ground in that area, they could have information wrong. So do your own research, as always. Is this the dentist and his wife unaliving? Yes, Rosebud. Yeah, I was horrified when I heard the children were screaming in the home. Well, we heard from the family the kids were blissfully unaware of what truly happened. But the children were inside. So was a family dog, all of them unharmed. The only two people that lost the lives of the mom and the dad, Spencer and Monique. Weeks later, there's still no arrest. No motive has been released. It's been complete silence. Police released surveillance footage of a person of interest, and now the clock is ticking. Cold cases don't happen overnight. They even happen through silence and delays. And we don't know if there's been silence and delays because we really don't know what is truly going on in the case, because nobody has really spoke to anybody about this case. So I wanted to make sure that we have this. Let me see if I get this up. Okay. I just want to make sure that we have this properly aligned on here so we can see it. There we go. I think that's beautiful right there. I believe without a doubt that's the person. I believe that's the person without a doubt. And I think that if you look at his genes and stuff like that, you might even be able to see some of that. Because I have to think, even with the firearm, if it was in the bedroom, he still had to be a few feet away. And I don't know about that chest. That chest wound to me seems very, very close up and personal. I don't know why I feel that way, but I feel like the chest wound in Monique was not standing feet away. It was much closer to make that that one shot and know that was enough to take her out. You're not convinced that's a man. I am. I'm convinced it's a man. That for me personally, I believe it's a man. I believe it's a man. I believe it's a man for a few things, but the way he walks, the way he bends his knees, the stature. Yeah, I mean, we do have some, manly looking women that are out there, but I truly believe that this is a man. Now, are we going to find out that Spencer was having an affair? And this is the husband? I mean, I'm not going to say, I will, how am I going to explain this? I will be honest with you. I truly believe that Spencer and Monique were in love. Okay. I truly believe that Spencer and Monique, were in love. I have not seen or heard anything about this dentist doctor stepping out on his wife. Everything that I've learned about both of them is that they loved each other a lot. They were a very good match. Everything I've heard. Now, what people's perception is from the outside looking in, and what the perception truly is behind those closed doors are totally different. We can see that in Sebastian Rogers' case. We can see that in a lot of these cases that we cover on this show, including, say, somebody like Caitlin Harp, from Pennsylvania. So we know that that there still could be some things that we don't know about that's going on behind closed doors. But this, to me, seems like a man. And we do have several incidences where it seems like there was a woman that they knew about, that they associated with, that they affiliated with, that was having marital problems or problems with a significant other that worried her so much where she felt the need to call law enforcement for protection. Okay, whether she needed the protection or not, or whether she overreacted because she was intoxicated. Quite frankly, everybody keeps bringing up the brother-in-law. Did he have, because he's been very communicative and he's really tried very hard to take focus off of this being a suspect, which has been a kind of a minor red flag, but it could be interpreted. He might just be just a weird dude, or people think differently if they're liberal. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just my disdain for liberals. I don't know. Maybe he's not a liberal. I don't know. But, they think things differently. So they're always going to look at something as so innocently instead of suspiciously. We're opposite. We look at everything so suspiciously than innocently. And when we see a lone dude in the middle of an alley, we can probably conclude that there was probably not too many people walking back and forth between this alley or driving back and forth between this alley. And for them to think that this guy was a suspect a week later, I would have to think that anybody that went there, that they've talked to everybody, that this is the one person that they've not been able to find or identify. And this is looking pretty good because this is probably one of the only people that they cannot find or identify. And if that's the case, that's why he is a prime suspect or person of interest that needs to be. And maybe they might. We've had the situation like with Charlie Kirk's assassination, where that one guy they thought was the guy. They even went out and said, "We got him, right? We got him." They took him in, they questioned him, they realized, oh, this is not him. We need to let him go, and kicked him. So, if for any reason this guy here, they ultimately find who he is and they realize that he's just a drunk and had nothing to do with it, guess what? They're going to kick him. But they need to identify him and they need to speak to him. And the sooner that we can get this guy identified and speaking to him, the sooner that they can exclude this guy and move on. So let's keep going. He hasn't come forward. Yeah, and that's a great point. All this time, this man has to know that a lot of people are looking for him, and he hasn't come forward and say, "Hey, that's me. I had nothing to do with their homicide." So we got to look at that. But also coming back, I was reading the article about this 911 call from their home. And he kept saying that this woman had like a mental, she was obviously not mentally aware, which, he was basically saying that the woman lost her shit, right? And while that may very well be, but it made me feel like the hint, because he's the brother-in-law, that it might have been her sister. It might have been his wife that made the call because of the way he downplayed this call so much and knew so much about it. Now, I could be completely off base, but if it was him, he basically called his wife a basket case, okay? And for it's just the way he I only read an article. I didn't hear him or watch him, explain this. But when I was reading it in the article, the first thing that came across my mind as I kept thinking, I wonder if it's his wife that made the call. And that's why because he wasn't blaming the dude that riled the woman up or anything like that. He was literally blaming the woman. And so I'm like, what dude would blame the woman? And it dawned on me, I think it's his woman. I could be wrong. I may very well be wrong, but and the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of people were getting the EBGBs about the brother-in-law. Some people came in here in this chat and even said, hey, we think it might be the brother-in-law. And it's like, I don't know a whole lot about his brother-in-law, but one thing I am saying about the brother-in-law is he's really trying very hard to get us not to look at this photo as a person of suspicion. And two, he's talking about this woman that called. He acknowledged it wasn't Monique that made the call, but he basically said that it was a woman that lost her stuff mentally that night, and she's okay. And I'm thinking that's an odd statement for some guy to make about a woman. If I'm unhinged and you ain't my man and you basically call me a basket case, boy, let me tell you about yourself, okay? And if you are my man, boy, let me tell you about yourself, right? But it was the way he said it, and I just kept thinking, I just thought of the statement itself was odd, this. I still wonder about the love triangle. I guess you really don't know this day and age, but they just don't look like the love triangle type of people. But what is, and I'm already hearing, I remember, who was it? Mary? Was it Mary Kincaid or something? Always in the back of my head. What does that? No, it was Barbara. It was Barbara Warren. That's it. What does a murderer look like? When I said, oh yeah, he looks like a murderer. We had this Jason guy that popped up before Brian Koberger's picture, and I'm like, oh yeah, he looks like a murderer. And I remember Barbara chiming in and saying, what does a murderer really look like? And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. And then we get the picture of the real murderer, and it was Brian Koberger. Now, I just went from a purple-haired guy with a shaved skinhead looking with the purple hair on the top, or blue hair on the top, whatever color it was on the top. And that was the first image. Then I'm like, oh, yeah, that looks like the guy. And then they're like, oh, no, it's the wrong guy. Betty, we gave you the wrong one. I'm like, okay, send me the new one. So we get the new one. I pop it up there, and I'm like, and Barbara had just said that. I'm pretty sure it was Barbara. I'm pretty sure it was Barbara Warren. But she chimes into the chat and says, it was either Mary or Barbara. What does a murderer look like? And then they send me Brian Koberger's picture, and I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right, because I just went from a shaved purple hair guy that stole a car, and Brian Koberger, which unalived 4 people. One has shaved, skinhead purple hair crap, and the other guy looks like a freaking teacher. So then the question is asked: what does a murderer really look like, right? So you got to put that in perspective. But when it comes to this, who is this? I believe it's a guy. I absolutely believe that this is the way he walks. Okay, now let's be honest with you. Unless you're heavy, like morbidly obese heavy, and you have larger thighs, you don't walk like. Maybe I should have started out with men have penises and scrotums. Okay, let me go to the clinical definition. Okay, they got junk that kind of hangs between their thighs. Okay, us women do not have junk that hangs between our thighs. So it is relatively obvious how somebody walks, that they might have some junk, but between their trunks, okay? I'm just saying. So let me just put it out like that, okay? I was trying to dance. I was walking on eggshells. Let me just put it out like that, okay? Men have junk, so they have a walk that looks like they got junk between their legs, okay? Because they got junk between their legs. This man is walking like he's got junk between their legs, okay? Women don't have the junk between their legs. They is a little closer together, okay? When you're walking your two trunks, okay? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So that's why I believe this is a dude, okay? No, not because, we know we got some, manly looking women, and we got some women looking men, okay? This is America, okay? We kind of swing both ways over here, okay? But when it comes to the walk, I'm looking for very specific things. So I'm just letting you guys know. I'm just letting you know this is why I think this is a guy, okay? I'm just saying. They gave us enough walking for us to and you guys are going to start looking at it now. Now that you guys are starting to pay attention to where I'm paying attention, I'm pretty sure you'll find out that this is a guy, okay? This is a heterosexual guy, or one that decided not to go get, have surgery or anything. Now, if he had surgery, it might be, this day and age where we have cosmetic stuff and things, maybe I got it wrong. But the chances of it, is a flip of a coin. I think I'm good with this one. I think when you guys go back and review the hazy photos, you're going to realize he got a little bit of junk between his two trunks, okay? So he has this little wobble, okay? So I can't tell you how well endowed he is, but I'm just saying he's got some endowment down there, okay? Now that we're over that, it's a dude. That's why we think it's a dude. There's a little, there's a package to prove it, okay? So blow up the camera, okay? That's all I'm going to say, and you'll realize that this is a dude. Okay. Now let me go back to the beginning so you guys can slow it down for yourself here in a little bit and check and see if he's got some junk in his trunks. Right there. See it? See it? Yeah, you guys are seeing it now. Okay. Now that you guys see it, it's a dude. It's a dude. We'll let it go a few more times so you guys can slow it down wherever you guys need to slow it down at some point in there. So, yeah, slow down. Slow down. Some women. Yeah, I agree with that. But look at those big old shoes. See, women have smaller feet, okay? We just do. Now, some of you guys have some big feet, okay? But I don't see, let's break this down here, okay? We see the type of woman that Spencer likes, okay? Okay? We don't have to worry about this being a woman, okay? He will not never, okay? And that's not me saying it, okay? I'm just saying, have you seen the quality of his wife? Okay, this is not going to be the buddy, okay? I'm sorry, even people that are from my understanding, that are in that swinging network still like, they still have to be attracted to whoever they bring back, okay? I'm just saying, okay? I don't think this would be the most attractive broad in the whole world. Now, I could be completely wrong. Maybe he has some type of fantasy or fetish that we don't know about that, only this person can help him out with. I think we're defeating Occam's razor to have to assume so much, right? To have to assume so much. So we believe that this is a guy. So now we have to understand what would make a guy go into a house and shoot another guy a lot of times, and then ultimately his wife. There's only a few things that I can think that would drive somebody to do that. Now, we heard about the Big Brother. The Spencer was associated with Big Brothers. I keep wondering if there's something to do with that, because I feel like this is a matter of the heart. This doesn't feel like it's money. You know, it just doesn't feel like it's money, because I can't imagine what this man could be in that would make somebody upset. He didn't have a failed business. He wasn't in a business. He was working for somebody else. This wasn't his dentist office. We learned that because his boss is the one that called him in missing and said, I own the office. And, you know, it wasn't we own the office. I own the office. This is my employee. He called him his employee, not his partner. So this is telling me a dynamic. So if there is this personal beef over finances or over money, where could it possibly be? It didn't sound like they were in business. It didn't sound like they had a business. It sounded like she worked for Nationwide Insurance at some point. And it sounded like she might even been working from her home, being a stay-at-home mom and doing insurance. But it sounds like she's had a career of insurance long back to when she was married to Mike McGee. And then he was working at the dentist office. So it sounds like they were bringing in, you know, several $100,000 between the two of them, over $100,000 or more a year between the two of them. I mean, they certainly that they could afford the lifestyle that they were living. They looked like they had a beautiful home. It wasn't the biggest, most elite home that they could have in that community. It was very modern, and but it was fairly, you know, small compared to some of the other houses we saw. So they were living a very modest life. Rugs, yeah, hey Jude, we could go with that, but it's hard. These people, you know, certain people can hide substance abuse, but substance abuse still costs a lot of money. You know, addiction costs a lot of money. And it plagues, you know, families, but we're not talking about the Murdaghs here, you know, where they can hide. They have so much money, more money than God, that they can literally hide their addiction. These people didn't seem like that. They didn't seem like they were, you know, nickeling and diming it each month, but it didn't seem like they had this overwhelming amount of money that they could hide a massive addiction. But, you know, who's to say it was massive? Maybe it was just party here, party there. Yeah, Ruggs could do it. Ruggs could definitely turn somebody, but this seemed personal. I mean, multiple shots in Spencer. And we have to remember that there was no forced entry. And we don't know if there was any noise. We haven't heard from any of the neighbors saying whether they heard the dog going crazy at night or anything, you know, and if the dog was going crazy or letting them know. I keep trying to figure out, you know, play it through my mind. I will tell you, I do. I try to play this whole thing through my mind. How did this guy get in the house, you know? Did they just go knock on the door and, you know, how did she get the shot in her chest? Did the doorbell, you know, they're saying they're both in the upper room. So she obviously didn't drop at the front door. So you're talking about somebody that if they came through the front door, which we're hearing they probably didn't because, well, no, we didn't hear anything. But we know that there was a Ring doorbell camera at the front of the house. Could somebody have come in to the house that way? Knock on the door, come in. Yes. Knock on the door. Maybe the husband didn't wake up, but the wife did. She came down there. There was a dispute. He was walking upstairs. She's walking behind him. Next thing you know, they're in their bedroom arguing. Boom, 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 boom. She's screaming crazy. Ah, ah, ah! Boom. And then flees. Could that have happened? Yes, that could have happened. The problem we have right now is we don't know the position of the bodies. We don't know where she was. We got a description from the 911 calls from the man that found them. Okay, and Plunder has a recording. Actually, we'll play Plunder next. Has a recording of that the one person recorded himself as he's going through the house, which is still a little odd. I would think that they would be on the phone with 911. Why are you recording yourself going into their home? Unless you're just scared that there might be some, blowback if they're okay and, you just broke into their home. You want to have evidence of why you broke in. Maybe that's what the flaw. I don't know. I thought, there's something really odd about that, but I think they were just concerned. They heard the kids. They needed to break in. The kids were in there screaming, and parents didn't go to work. They can't get a hold of them. They know something's wrong. Maybe they did just for, because I'm a recorder, if I'm going to go do something, I'm going to record myself so I have evidence of what truly transpired. Maybe that's just all that's all that can be taken away from that. But obviously they got into the house somehow. How did they get in the house? What was open that let them in the house? Then you've got the two back doors. We did observe on the back side of the house where this guy is. This guy right here is in the back alley. They have a detached garage and then a fenced-in backyard with an attached garage that leads out to the alley, this alley here. Inside the fenced-in area, there are two doors. There's one that goes into the back of their house, and then there's one that goes into their basement. Could somebody have knocked on the back door and been let in? Or did they feel because their yard was fenced in and their detached garage was closed, that maybe they felt comfortable and left the back door unlocked? And this was just one of those things where somebody got in their backyard, they checked the back door, or was it a common thing that everybody knew they left their back door open and this person was able to get in their house? But again, if he was able to get into the house, how in the hell did he not wake up the dog? How did the dog not start crazily barking? How did they not pick that up on the video footage? I mean, something had to have provoked this dog, and if this dog was not provoked, then this is a person that was so close to these people that the dog knew so well and considered a friendly. And how was he able to unalive both of them and leave the house without the dog biting him? Where was the dog? Was the dog locked in a room? Did he lock the dog in a room somewhere? These are all questions that are going to go to the mentality and the behavior of this person that are missing. We can't even figure out who we're looking for. These details would give me a clear understanding of who we truly are looking for. And we don't have them. I would probably walk exactly like that on purpose. Who would walk like themselves after, somebody. Exactly. But he also may have gotten hurt. Maybe the reason why he's limping a little is because the dog did bite him. Maybe he does have some injuries on him. Because he does look like one of his legs are hurt. When I see him walking, one of his legs are hurt. And I would like to know how the leg are hurt. And I feel like the only reason why a dog is alive is if he knew him and he was able to get him in a room and close a door, or if he got bit by a dog and he couldn't get the dog secured and he couldn't unalive the dog because he had no more bullets because he just put the bullets in, because you can only chamber so many bullets. We don't know what kind of gun was used. We don't know what kind of, once we determine, the type of ammunition that was used, then we can kind of determine, what kind of gun it came out of. Then we can determine what type of clip or how many bullets one of those guns could potentially hold. And then we can kind of derive from that point whether he emptied his clip out or whether there was, another bullet that could have went for the dog if the dog attacked him. But for me, it seems to me that he's hurt somehow. It's hurt on the leg that's closest to the other side. Like we see his body closest to the camera. It's the leg on the other side of the camera. Oh, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Let me go down here and see what we got. BHB has us on Crotch Watch 2.0. That is funny. That is funny. Crotch Watch 2026. Crotch Watch 2026. But he got some junk, okay? I'm just saying. That's why he's a dude, okay? I understand it could be a woman, but you got it. It's hard to tell a little bit, but you can kind of tell a little bit that it's a dude, okay? It's a dude. I don't like studying the things I have to study, okay, folks? I'm telling you, I don't. You want to know why I was disgruntled yesterday? Yeah, I have no clue. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. All right, so we see that, and of course, we have Vinnie Politan. If you guys know, I'm very respectful of Vinnie Politan. I kind of ditched Vinnie Politan when I was going through my sabbatical with the Buzzard case and everything like that. But I told you that my divorce with Court TV and Vinnie Politan was one of those love-hate relationships, and I knew I was going to be back because what a woman doesn't come back to a dysfunctional relationship? I'm just joking. So I'm back. I still love my Vinnie Politan. And I wanted to hear what he had to say. Let's listen to see. We're just going to take just a witty old bit. Just a little witty old bit of Mr. Vinnie Politan.
I want to talk about the Tepes. This was a happy couple. Everyone that has spoken about them talked about their personalities, bigger than life.
I heard the same thing, guys. These people, you guys know how I feel about the word perfect and perfection and all this other stuff. That's why it's very difficult for me to believe that there was a swinging aspect to this, a third party, a love triangle aspect. It's very hard for me to believe. Not that it's completely, because I know that we all know that the outside looking in can be much, much more deceiving than the reality of life behind certain closed doors. So I understand that. In the back of my mind, I understand that. But I'm just telling you guys what we're hearing from other people. And Vinny is absolutely right. We're hearing nothing but amazing things about these two people. They were good people. They were just good people. And you know what? Good people attract a lot of bad people. Unfortunately, they do. They do, because they're kind, and it's hard. Once upon a time, Bullhorn Betty was a sweet, nice individual person. Okay, I was doughy-eyed. I looked at everybody in this world as, always tried to understand. I always wanted to, know about what got people to certain things. Even when I went into my drug fueled area of my 20s. Even when I was out there, I was always curious what brought somebody else out there. They probably looked at me like crazy, but I learned a lot, like what brought people out. One of the ladies that were out there, she had like 4 PhDs. It was crazy. Very smart person, and just out there on the streets doing all kinds of around messed up stuff. I'm glad it didn't take me down as far as it took a lot of people down. And I had a fairly good network that helped bring me back up. But at the end of the day, you get harder and harder with every time you get screwed over, but there was once upon a time that I was a very doughy-eyed, sweet, looked at the world with pink butterflies and bows and thought the world was great. And there was no, things were just the way they were. And then comes reality, right? And so when you are ignorant and naive about life, it will kick you around. And back in our days, we didn't get safe spaces in coloring books, okay? We didn't get to whine because everybody told us the same thing. This is life. Deal with it, right? And so we had to find ways to deal with it. And granted, we found ways to deal with it because we were told this is life. We weren't given these ridiculously expectations that everything was fair in this world. Like many other people, and why they're losing their shit. They're like, oh, what? This is not fair? This is legal? Yeah. Maybe you should have gotten an education instead of, becoming a social justice warrior. But hey, here we are, right? But at the end of the day, you can kind of see people that didn't get sucked into thick-skinned life, the school of hard knocks, if you will. These people looked amazing. It makes me feel like they were good-hearted people, and people knew they were good-hearted people. Maybe they just failed to help somebody. Maybe they had money that maybe one of their family members is struggling. They're about to lose everything they need. And their family members knew that these people had money. And they said, look, no, we got our family. We have our children. Yeah, we work our ass off to make money, but we have budgets. We've still got a lot of stuff. We can't afford this. We can't afford to help you out. You shouldn't have gotten yourself into this. This is the 5th time you've come to us for help. You know, we're not helping you this time. We don't know. We don't know. But it surely feels very personal. I think everybody across, I looked at, I've already watched some doctors, some psychologists, some things on this just to get a good pulse, a baseline. And I think everybody across the spectrum so far, now we could all be wrong, and it's possible for that, but this was ultra personal. This was ultra personal. And I'm a paralegal, so I work for him. Alicia. I used to. I wish I was an attorney, but my IQ... don't ever think your IQ has anything to do with becoming an attorney. Anybody can learn to become an attorney. Okay? We can teach monkeys to tap their head and rub their bellies at the same time. You trust me. Anybody can. Don't ever put yourself, don't ever equate yourself with, now you may take longer to read things and process things and understand things, but don't ever put yourself down. Don't do that. And if you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. So just remember that, Doris. You can do anything you put your mind to. You just got to put your mind to it. Don't ever let anybody tell you can't either. And if they do, tell them to take a hike. Take a hike. If you can do it, I can do it better. I can do anything better than you. Right? That's the attitude you need to have. You should go for it. I do medical malpractice defense work. We represent doctors. Ooh. Love it. Love it, love it. Yep. I wanted to be in, when I graduated, I wanted to be in like criminal law. I wanted the juicy stuff, the stuff that got your attention, you know, but then you realized it's like ridiculously long hours. Like, you do not leave the office. You might as well, if you're going to have any type of social life, you might as well marry the freaking attorney, because that's about as much of a social life as you're gonna have. I'm just saying. Now we gotta understand the whole office romance thing. I'm just saying. I'm judgmental, but being a defense attorney, come here. Being a defense attorney, come on. Being a defense attorney, I'm just saying. She's like, Betty. I'm just saying. Girl, I work those hours because my boss must win. Yeah, I know. I can't do it. I used to. I burnt myself out. Now that you're a paralegal, you'll understand this. I had over 200 cases, 200 active cases. And I had a team. Now, granted, I shouldn't say I had a team. I was part of a team, because the way it went is we had our attorney that went to the courts, and then we had our attorneys that did the work. So it was kind of this, like, we had teams. We had like 3 or 4 different teams, and we had a lot of different. Most of our teams had 40 cases, active cases. Our team had 200. I think maybe even 250. It was ridiculously high. We worked them. We did very, very well, but as you can imagine, I burnt the crap out of myself. I was coming in. I started coming in t-shirts and freaking shorts, because I stayed at my desk all day. And I'm like, if I'm sitting here all day and not moving except to go to the bathroom and to get a cup of water, I'm going to be comfortable. If you got a problem with it, not my problem. Fire me. Fire me. I don't care. If I'm going to be sitting, if you're chaining me to this damn chair, I'm going to do it in flip-flops and freaking shorts, okay? And that's what I did. I didn't take lunch for 3 months while prepping. Boss was like a mobster. Yep. I do wear flip-flops. Yep. That's it. I mean, what do you do? I mean, when you're fed up, you're fed up, right? So you have choices here. You want me to have the 200 caseload? Fine, I'll do it. But I'm doing it in comfort, okay? You're lucky I ain't bringing my pajamas. Just saying. You guys know me. I talk just... I do. I'm such a pain in the ass.
And a couple starting a family in Columbus, Ohio. He's a dentist. She's a stay-at-home mom with the 2 little ones. And
I would like to make sure she is the stay-at-home mom because she was a nationwide agent. So I feel like she might have had her insurance. Like, hey, she may have given it up to stay home. I mean, when she had her insurance license before, she didn't have children. Children are a handful.
they've got what seems from the outside to be this amazing life, this journey that they're beginning, right? And it's the holiday season. And then the tragic scene inside of their home. Mom dead. Dad dead. Both shot and killed. And when you hear that headline, you're going to think, oh, was there something we didn't know about this couple? Was there some murder-suicide thing that happened here? No. There's no weapon left behind.
So it really gives you a new perspective of why those hands were in that jacket. Just saying.
Somebody did this. And think about what they did.
They did. So let's get over here. Let's see what we got here. We've already seen that. Let's listen to this guy.
From the scene. So, and our person has...
Sorry, let me go back.
For the world to see now.
Okay, here we go.
Are detectives taking anything else away from this video?
Well, I think the video, to me, indicates that this person has got a vehicle somewhere off the other block someplace, away from, if this is in fact our suspect.
Ooh. See, these are the things that even the, like the brother-in-law wouldn't take into consideration because they're not, this is a homicide investigation. That brother-in-law is not getting any more information than we, the public, are getting. You guys know that. It's the biggest complaint that we have from all of our families that we cover, all of the families that we help in homicide cases or missing person cases. One of the biggest problems is the lack of information from law enforcement given to the family, and the family having to deal with the speculation and the rumors just like everybody else. It's harder on them, right? So you got to remember the brother-in-law is not getting, because as far as the law enforcement is concerned, the brother-in-law is a suspect or a person of interest until he's cleared. Now, they may have cleared him by now. He may not have anything to worry about, but he is associated and affiliated with these people that are deceased. He is under investigation. He's either still under investigation or he's been thoroughly cleared. Those are the only two ways about it. So we have to consider this, and what we don't know that law enforcement knows, just like this officer says, something we were not taking into consideration at all. Did law enforcement see him get into a car or see him drive off? That would give, that would eliminate this whole he's a bum just walking through the alley that the brother-in-law believes, you know? So we got to take that into consideration as well.
Away from the scene. So, and just the way he's acting, it would appear to me that this is purposeful. The head down, making sure the hood is pulled forward. So there's a lot of things going on here that this looks like this is the best suspect going at the moment.
So let's take that to the next level.
But I'm looking at the way this person's walking and their behavior. We're not dealing with, like, you remember when we were dealing with Matthew Guerra and Savannah Soto? They were the dealers out in San Antonio that she was about to have a baby and she never made it to her appointment. Her parents got worried, started calling in. Both her and the baby's father were shot in the head and dumped at an apartment complex in San Antonio. And then, can't remember the names, but the mom, the dad, and the son that got arrested. Mom is out, or maybe it's the father, and I think it's the mom's out on bail or bond or whatever. Anyways, when the father got out of the truck to help his son dump the car and walk out, we could tell he was older. We could tell he had compression socks on. We could see the compression socks, from from the video, okay? So we knew we were dealing with most likely an older guy, an older Mexican man, okay? You guys all remember that because I'm like, he's got compression socks on. They came up to almost his knees, okay? You could tell he was an older man. This to me looks like a younger person, their age or younger. We're not looking at a person wearing compression socks. So we can kind of, even with very limited information from this video, and as grainy as it is, we can tell several things. One is he is a man, okay? It's obvious he's a man. Two, it appears that he has some type of injury, okay, on his right side. I don't know if it's an injury that's been sustained previously, or if it's an injury that he had sustained that night, or if it's a permanent injury that he sustained years prior that just impeded some of his walking. He appears to have something wrong with his hip or knee or ankle on his right side, to me. So those are things that we can derive from this, and the fact that he doesn't appear to be elderly or older. He appears to be their age or younger by his mannerisms out here. So these are things that I'm looking at. Is that accurate? We won't know until this suspect is found. But those are the things that I've observed on here, in my belief of what I've observed on here. I believe that because of this video here, I can determine that this is a man, that he appears to have an injury on the right side, and that he appears to, what was the other one I just said? My brain just goes fluster. So we have the walk. Oh, and the age. So we have the walk, the injury, and the age. The walk, the injury, and the age. So, man, injury, and age. So those are the three things that I was able to get out from this.
Right? A lot of people are wondering, is this someone that they knew, perhaps? Because there's no sign of forced entry. Now, obviously, a door could have been unlocked, but it seems like it's someone who showed up purposely that night, may actually...
Was it known to everybody? You know, have they had people from the office in the past say, go over there, but go through the back because the door's unlocked back there? You know, was it normal? Because it says no forced entry. We know that there was entrance made into the house. There's just no obvious entry point that they can tell. So let's
a door could have been unlocked, but it seems like it's someone who showed up purposely that night, may actually know them, but as you're pointing out, didn't park in front of the house. So this is something that seems to be planned then.
Premeditation.
Oh, I think so. I think just the fact that we have, it is what we know about the scene.
Sorry, my nose.
That the husband the father is shot multiple times. She is shot once in the chest, at least if that's what's been reported. So it's obvious, I think, to anybody that he is the target.
So you guys see how we all came to that conclusion. He's the one with the most injuries, you know? He's laying in his bed. So usually if you have the most injuries, it could be one of two things. It could be that they were awake and they're the ones that gave the person a run for their money. They were the fighters, right? Or it could be they were the target, and with him being in bed and slumped over in bed, it tells me that he was in a vulnerable position when he was shot, making him the target. Okay? Usually if you have more injuries, you might have given the person a fight, and that's why you sustained more injuries. But in this case, there was no fight. He was still in bed.
Now, what we don't know is what caused him to be the target. This appears to be something... I would be shocked if it's not something very, very personal. I think it goes beyond the, this dentist performed a bad root canal.
Okay, so you guys are hearing what this guy's saying, okay? This is ultra personal. I think he's leaning into matters of the heart, okay? We're leading into matters of the heart. So to me, it's identifying potential suspects, okay? Is there an affair going on? These people don't look like the affair type. But it doesn't mean they weren't helping somebody else flee a domestic violence situation, and that person blames them or blames him for doing that. It could be a situation where, let's be honest, I mean, this day and age, people, their loyalty to their wives and husbands are at an all-time low in many cases. That's why we think a lot of people need to bring Jesus and God back into their world and live, by the Bible and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we know all too often that people don't. We know all too often that people step out on their marriage, out on their significant others. You guys watched what happened to me 3 years ago. I mean, that happened for an entire year without any knowledge of mine. I had no knowledge that my significant other was stepping out on me for an entire year. It was very painful to find those things out. Very painful. Probably one of the most painful things that I personally went through in a very, very, very long time, including more painful than my divorce from my husband. Okay. So it's a very personal and very painful. So that would enrage somebody enough, but it could also be that somebody thought something happened that didn't happen, right? We have those jealous men or jealous women. We're going to talk about jealous men because this looks like a dude, okay? He walks like a dude. He's acting like a dude. We're talking about a dude here. This is a guy. What would a guy be so emotional over that they would want to unalive another man? Okay, so we may have to look at Dr. Spencer not being a wholesome doctor. I don't want to put that on a victim until we have some more information. Ego, betrayal, but betrayal I think is the most. I think it's the betrayal. I think betrayal in a situation like this is going to be, but you know what? I'm still uneasy about the whole Dr. Mike McKee thing, because we did realize he didn't he wasn't the one that married a man. So something happened in their relationship where they ended. Could this be a long lost interest? Like, how dare you? This was supposed to be our life, This is my life. This is my wife. These are my children type of thing. 3 things: jealousy, envy, love triangle, financial gain issue. Yeah, I think you hit that nail on the head. I agree with all those. But I think the 2 latter ones would be more, I don't think the jealous, envious things are going to rise to this level. Me, and I keep wondering about why the home in the middle of the night. Why the home in the middle of the night and not, say, like a burglary gone bad or a robbery gone bad or a, carjacking gone bad? Why in the middle of the night? It's this home. It's knowing, I think it goes further than this, folks. I really do. I think it goes further than this, because it's not just about knowing where they lived. It's about knowing how to get into their home, knowing where their bedroom was, knowing where to go. This is somebody that has been inside their home. This is somebody that's been inside their home. This is somebody that knows them personally. So if you're a friend of these people, you're a suspect. You might as well go ahead and call in and get cleared. You might as well, if you know where they live, you know how to get into their house, and you know where their bedroom is, you need to be calling law enforcement and having them go ahead and have them clear you. Just go ahead and call them, say, I know them, I've been in their house, you might as well clear me. Here's where I was between 2 a.m. Here's statements right here. You might as well just go up there and hand it to them and get it done. Get it done and over with. But I would start looking at the history. It's around Spencer, so he's in that office. So whatever, I feel like it's directly connected to his dental practice. I really starting to feel this. I feel like this is an affair. I really do. Unfortunately, I'm starting to feel like this is an affair, or this is her ex. It's somebody that has an emotional attachment to him. So personal. So personal. In my opinion, it's more to do with money. Yeah. Well, maybe the family needs to start looking at who was asking them for money in the recent months or weeks, or maybe they were having financial problems. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe somebody else is having, it might be that theory of maybe one of their friends or family that went to them for help, and they cut them off and said, no, we're not helping you no more. Were they helping anybody financially in the family? But it looks like, and I don't want to accuse the brother-in-law that's been in the newspaper, because one, he just seems like a really nice guy. I haven't gotten any creep vibes from him. He's the one that did their beautiful video, their wedding video. You know, it was that he was the brother-in-law that put all that together and made a beautiful piece for them. I guess it could be really anybody, but I'm just not foreseeing it. I think he's just trying to keep their information out there, and he's just trying to lend his perspective. You know, I really wish he wouldn't have said anything about the guy in the alley may possibly not being a suspect or just being a drunk walking. I think he's trying to lend another perspective to get that person to come forward, more so than not believing that that person is just passing through. I don't know. Maybe they think if the person, nobody will find him if they're accusing them of being the suspect. Maybe that he's concerned about that. But we can't dismiss the fact that it is the brother-in-law trying to dismiss what law enforcement believes is the suspect, and that's very concerning for me. So those are the only things I see, but I really don't think we've identified or honed in on who this could be. I'm just throwing some things out there, hoping that somebody that's watching this is closer to this case than I am. Something I say might trigger something in them, that they might remember something and maybe either reach out to law enforcement or start posting it on social media so we can get it. Folks, if you're seeing stuff on social media, please don't forget we have 2 new groups available to all of you. We've got a group right now for Ryan. Let me get Facebook pulled up. Please bear with me. It takes just a little bit when I'm already on here. We didn't have any drops into our system. I had to pull a lot of stuff off here that we would normally do. I think I'm in the wrong account. Am I in the wrong account? Oh, I don't think it's going to matter. Yeah, I think it will. Ryan Davis groups. So we have a new group for mysterious disappearance of Ryan R.J. Davis, and people are already starting to post some stuff in there. Here it is. Let me go ahead and post this for you. If you guys would like to drop some information in this chat, if you guys get it, if you guys hear anything, please drop it in. We're just trying to help. We're trying to do our part to bring advocacy to this young boy, 12 years old, disappeared from his home. This is not looking good. It sounds like he was abused in horrible ways by his mom and his stepfather, and we're just trying to make sure that if he's out there somewhere, he knows he never has to go back to their home again. We're so sorry that this happened. Please come forward. This doesn't have to be what it is. You can have a beautiful, thriving life, and I'm sure you probably don't trust a lot of adults right now, but we got it. We're going to need you to trust an adult. We need to make sure that you're safe and you're happy and that you never have to go through that again. So Ryan, RJ, if you're out there, you come across this video, please just reach out to law enforcement and let them know that you're doing okay. We do have this group, and we also have the group with the Tepes. And it's Spencer and Monique Tepe discussion. Here this is. We're bringing, sometimes I recycle some groups. These were just starting fresh. It's because I didn't have time to go find out which group I could use to get these kind of kick these off. So I started 2 fresh new groups. So these are going to be ones that you guys need to go and either invite. They're open public groups, but we want to make sure that you're joined, because if you're not joined, there may be a process later down the road where you're going to be required to. So Sam. Who is Sam? I don't know Sam. Send me that, T-Bird, if you wouldn't mind. Send me something to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. But this is open. This is a public group now, but you guys know that at some point we start closing these groups up and making them a private group as we start concentrating our search efforts and our research efforts, and we start making it more clicky. So you got to be able to answer questions and stuff to be part of the group. Now is a great time to be part of these groups without having to go through those other processes. If you wait until we have over 100 members, you're going to have to go through a process, answer questions where you could be denied from being a participant in the group. So just go on ahead over there and get into the group. And if you have any information or would like to share news articles, perspectives, I do check these groups. Remember that, guys. Whenever I come to do a story on here about this, I come here and I check these groups to see if there's anybody that has wrote anything, or this is a great place to tell me what information you don't have, what questions you don't have. And right here, not one person has come in here and said, hey, what about this angle, or this is what I think. And so when we get those things coming in here, then I can go there and say, and you guys can post anonymously too. So if you don't want to be, just want to ask a question, but maybe are a little shy, we give you the ability to post an anonymous question or an anonymous statement, and we'll go over those things. I'll bring them up and explain why I agree with them or disagree with them, and provide some receipts that might help you. So you're not out here just twiddling your thumbs, spinning your wheels, doing all this research, not really getting anywhere with it, maybe just throwing it out here on one of these chats. We'll pick it up and we'll dive in and do some research on it. So go over there, use these discussion groups to help drive the discussion about these 2 cases. We are diving deep in Ryan, and we are diving deep in the Tepe case, okay? So these are the 2 cases that I have chosen to pick up. That means we're going to be relying mostly on these 2 cases. We're going to be, most of our information that we're going to be deriving are going to be on these 2 cases. So this is going to be an all hands on decks, especially for Ryan. All hands on deck, guys. Send it to me. If you guys have anything, please, please, please. bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. We're going to get the dirt, we're going to get the tea, and we want to break these cases down for each and every one of you. So please don't forget to share. Have a wonderful day. Happy Saturday. It's Delilah's day. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and let you guys get on with your day. I might come back later today, depending on what we have to discuss. If we do come back later today, if there's no new changes on either one of these cases, either the Tepe case or Ryan Davis case, then we will talk about probably mostly the riots or whatever's going on. If anybody's been shot, if anybody's, been chasing down our cops, if anybody try and run over our cops, we'll give you guys an update play by play when I get back later this evening. Otherwise, we'll do that first thing tomorrow after church. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. And again, guys, send me some stuff if you have questions, if you have articles, if you know something, if you know something that could change my perspective on either one of these cases, please. You guys are the front lines. You guys are out there in all these other communities listening to other stuff. If you see it, send it to me, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. If you know anything about this person, suspects of interest, if you're on Facebook and people are in the chat talking about a suspicious person, send that to me so we can investigate it. We'll do it live here. So you guys will have one place to come to get all your information related to the Spencer and Monique Tepe case, and we will dive in deep. You guys have questions? Send them to me. Let's stop the show and look at the question. Let's do the research right here live in front of everybody so we're all taught exactly the same thing. And we all have the information that we need, so when we're out here in the community, we're giving out information, right information, not misinformation. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. God bless.